Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian Collegiate League. My name is Piercing, and I am here with Bianca. Bianca, how are you doing today?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing amazing on this Monday evening, and I'm happy
I'm
to
not.
be casting with you. You're not happy on this beautiful Monday evening?
Okay, so little bit of context. I just went through a week of work last week, like everyone else did. Then I had battle assembly, right? Military.
Oh,
Probably
okay.
shouldn't say that out loud,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
fine.
It's a
And
servant
then
red tag.
now back, yeah, and now back to work for another week. Plus, I kind of busted my hand open. That was fun, busting ice. But with that being said, I'm sorry I had to say that. We are now in week 3 of the CCL, and we for tonight have Concordia Maroon versus University of Waterloo. And speaking of these teams, Bianca, let's take a quick look at what they've got going on, but as well, let's see what the other teams have been up to with Group C's last week results. So we have Mesa versus TMU game 1, and that is going to be with Mesa coming out with a clean 2-0 for game 2. SP versus CU, also a clean 2-0, all of them 2-0 actually,
Seems like a
as UW and
trend.
BU did the same with Waterloo Esports coming out as well, and that's one of the teams that we'll be featuring for tonight, folks. But with that said, let's take a look at the standings as well to see what we've got going on overall, where the teams lie. And with that, for phase 1, Waterloo with 6 points, a perfect streak. Same with Seneca Esports. But we've also got Concordia Maroon, which is our other team that we'll be featuring tonight, with a 2-1. So still plenty of points to gather for them, as well as McGill keeping a similar score line with TMU Gold and Rock Esports currently at 0 and 2. They do not have any points at the moment, but there's still plenty of time to rack them up. So it'll be a matter of time to see what they're able to pull through going forward. But with that as well, let's take a look at what Concordia Maroons got for their team card. And for their roster, we're going to have Intensify, Owzy, Crash Out, Honey Pack, and Black. Going to be
I
the
like that
roster
name.
for today. I
I
love
like
Crash
that
Out.
name, Honey Pack. I think Honey
I'm a
Pack is probably my favorite.
I'm a fan of Crash Out. And the only reason I say that is because with SI and all that madness
Oh
going
my
on,
god,
we saw some
stop.
pretty big crash outs. And so
Oh my
fitting
gosh.
name, I must say.
That would
But
be
with that's
hilarious.
oh yeah,
Hopefully
it's
that doesn't
been
happen here. Hopefully none of those altercations happen
yeah.
here. Not that they would, but oh god, that'd be horrible.
I don't know. The passion's been pretty intense in the siege scene all around. You should be checking X, my goodness. But let's take a look at Waterloo and see who they will be bringing forth for tonight.
Ooh,
That is
my
going to
favorite
be
boys.
Slate, Gerv, Gugger, Mod, and Oogs. Definitely,
I love Waterloo so much. I cannot lie to you. I absolutely love the roster at Waterloo. I cannot lie. Mod D, probably my favorite player on Waterloo. I love watching this guy play. So I gotta say, if there's somebody that I can say to look out for, it'd be for Mod D. He's always doing some crazy stuff. I'm happy to see Concordia though, because I've never seen any of those players play. It's gonna be a first impression, so it'll
hey, and
definitely be something.
yeah, and it's a first impression for me for everything, for the league, for the teams, for the players, everything. This is the first time being here. I do have an update though. How Ironic will be subbing in for
Oh my
Waterloo
god,
tonight, so there is a roster change
I wonder
with
who they're
that in
gonna be
mind,
subbing out.
and
I
we'll
love
see that
how
in just a
ironic.
moment.
Oh my
Oh yeah,
gosh. How
so we'll
ironic's
get to
so
see him
great.
again. Absolutely. And with that, let's take a quick look at the players to watch. Let's see who the top players will be to keep an eye on for tonight. And that's going to be Crash Out and Gugger. Crash Out having a 1.27 rating, 3321 KD, a 74% KOST, and 33% of the team's entries. So probably more of a laid-back support player to get the job done, and with the stats to back it up too. But on the side of Waterloo, we have Gugger with a rating of 1.52, KD of 45 to 21. Pretty blistering numbers if you ask me. KOST of 83% and 85% of entries. Ladies and gentlemen, if it isn't clear, that's your entry fragger right there. And boy, does this player know how to frag.
Booker is the GOAT, humble guy as well. Cugger deserves a lot of praise. We're gonna see how him and Crash Out, live up to the expectations. I always feel like once you get kind of like the players to look out for and you end up getting highlighted, it's a little bit of like, a weight on your back. Now you kind of have to show up. Gugger always shows up, but I'm gonna be so excited to see how Crash Out does. And it's funny you said that Crash Out also was, the name that you liked the most. So we'll see. Hopefully these
Yeah.
boys head to head who ends up kind of coming out on top. Gug, in terms of just overall, seems to have the better statistics, but statistics are for everything. You can definitely outplay somebody in a single game. So hopefully Crasha will be able to beat the odds, because the odds are a little bit outweighed, but still, nonetheless, he's showcased for a reason. He's a player that's got talent, and hopefully he'll make some waves this game.
100%. But with that said, let's take a look at the map bans and see what these teams are going to be going
Oh,
up
my favorite
against for
part.
tonight. Yep, and it looks like we've
Woo!
got Chalet, Cafe, and Clubhouse, with Concordia's pick for the first map and Waterloo's pick for Cafe, and then Concordia with the decider on Clubhouse. And it looks like, I believe if I've got the order correct, it'll be Waterloo that'll be starting on the defense. Feel free to correct me if I've got that a little
Make the
backwards. I
most
forget how it goes.
sense. I think that would make the most sense. But it also says attacking start for the next one. So I feel like somebody had to have picked that they were going to attack first instead of defend, which is a little bit. I feel like typically teams will end up picking the defense over everything, over the offense. But
It
anyways,
depends
these
on
are some pretty.
dynamics.
Yeah, oh, of course, 100%. But we'll see how it ends up unfolding. I like the picks at the very least, Chalet Cafe, and then we'll have that club for the decider. But with that, looks like we're going into bans. Any predictions, Mr. Pearson? I feel like Chalet typically bans are pretty normal and nothing too out of the ordinary.
I would say it's probably going to be exactly what you would expect, to be 100% honest. I think we're going to see a Nazami, right? Pushing through double windows, always important. I am going to say maybe a Cade. I forget these bands. I lose track of them. But we are going to see Ram on the ban. Really smart pick.
Like that.
If you want to hold basement, you need Ram out of the picture. She pretty much demolishes any chance of holding as bandit. This forces a little bit closer contact to where you want to open up for garage and allows for a lot more counterplay from roamers. Next ban gonna be wow, that was a mispronunciation. Yeah, Dekebi.
Oh my
Thank you very much.
gosh.
But yeah, I mean, Dekebi is not surprising. You don't have that big of a map, so those calls can be pretty much heard from virtually anywhere, especially if you're far spread out. The mute ban. Okay.
I don't know if I like that.
I'm not sure how to feel about that. I do wonder what Concordia Maroon's angle is with that, because that's kind of an operator that you want to ban if you're kind of worried about, I would say, Piano, which is an intel choke point. And then, yeah, finishing for Mira. I can't say I'm surprised. And, of course, I'm 0 on bans.
I'm not crazy surprised about the Mira either, but I will say a mute over an operator like a Valk over an operator like an Azami. Then again, okay, this is it. So the boys on Waterloo did decide that they were going to attack first, which seems a little bit odd, but maybe that's the reason why the boys on. Oh no, I guess maybe the boys on Concordia didn't want to ban the Azami, knowing that, she was basically free to use for themselves. They wanted to use her, and so she's going to be implemented in, their defensive strategy, which is a little bit interesting. But anyways, well, there you go. There you have it. A Dokkaebi and a mute, a Mira and a Ram. The mute I don't really like. I think there's better operators, and I'm not really sure what the purpose of it is, but...
Yeah, that's definitely a weirder ban. But just a quick clarification, there is a bit of a visual bug. It was actually Concordia that banned Ram and Mira, not Waterloo. So if you're seeing that swap, that's why. Just a little bit of a, I guess you could say, game observer error, which, it happens. But with that being said, composition-wise, we're looking at a very heavy roam clear composition coming from Waterloo. We've got Gurv on Deimos, and we've also got Slate on Jackal. And of course, You're going to see the top down naturally with such a heavy composition. Time efficiency is going to be key here. Hunting that one player and isolating them. That's going to be the ticket for this starting entry. So far, nobody down yet, but they're just making their push in. And it does look like there's going to be one holding close to Solarium. This could be an early pick, potentially, but Black does get spotted and now begins to fall back significantly. And Waterloo doesn't have anyone to cut him off at the moment, so still has a lot of free space to try to pick a fight if he so chooses.
Seems like they're gonna be trying to fish him out, but doesn't seem like it's gonna be working as of right now. Seems like he's a little bit scared, getting pressured from multiple players, and is gonna run back down and choose Sight. However, Smoke, the one operator that you want to stay alive the longest, is actually gonna be the one to get taken out first. Slate taking a substantial amount of damage as well. Still, though, it's gonna be a 4v5. The boys in Waterloo will start with this extra player in their pockets. And as for Mr. Honeypack, he's kind of bobbing in and out, but it seems like everybody's basically just going to bunker down into sight regardless. Ma D taken out first by Mr. Black.
Yeah, that's a pretty big setback for Waterloo. They were off to a really good start when they took Crash out on Smoke, but now any walls that you wanted to get are going to be really difficult or just outright not an option any longer. But then again, keep in mind, there's no mute, there's no bandit or nothing, so they still have full access to pop open those walls despite that initial setback. But the question now remains, how do they mount their offensive from there? They don't really have much pushing power against any anchors such as Freeoz, who's holding towards back of Wine, and this is where things get a little bit tense. Some smokes do come out, but everything really boils down to what you do with that afterwards. And it does look like they're going to be using that as a kind of false crescendo for aggression, as no one's really made a move so far. Honeypack going to be catching another. That's going to be Gerv down, and that's another player, a roam clear this time around, now out of the picture. Gonna be getting that wall open, but that slowdown is gonna be a problem. They took Tubarão, but it means that those breaches are gonna come out slower, which puts Waterloo on a bit of a time crunch. But they do manage to catch Freeoz and Deep of Wine. That's gonna be huge to give them a potential opening to walk in. That's one less angle they have to deal with. Gresh coming out from Free Job, able to take Gogger down, and Honeypack taking it as well, and it's a sweep, shutting down a push, not letting it even happen.
That's going to be unfortunate for the boys on Waterloo. That first round is not going to go in their favor. I think that late kind of pushed through the back there. I mean, there wasn't any wall denial, so they could have gotten that wall out earlier, but being slowed down by the Tubarão doesn't help at all. And, well, that accounts for their loss. I guess just kind of takes them a little bit of a long time. Realistically, I'm not even really sure if they needed that Thatcher, honestly, especially considering that at least that Wine wall had no denial on it, which typically, like, I mean, you could go for that main breach, but I feel like having that Wine wall open is a lot more common than having the main breach open, at least from what I see when I end up playing on this map. Typically, especially myself, I prefer to go the back side. It's a lot easier to kind of push through and, you know, get a plant off. But anyways, I digress. Last round is ended. This round begins up on the top floor, which I feel like doesn't typically get picked up. I feel like this is like the third site, if anything. Usually it'll be something like, you know, bar or going that kitchen, but instead we are going to be going this top floor instead. Interesting. We'll see how Concordia continue to defend and if Waterloo are going to have a little bit of a stronger attacking this time around.
This is actually a really smart pick coming out from Concordia when you think about it, because we've seen Waterloo try to pinch out Honeypack, and it just didn't really go very well towards the beginning, or it might have been Crash Out, I can't quite remember, and that stalled a good amount of time, so that indicates to Concordia a bit of a weaker pinching power, which is exactly what I think they're calling at the moment. Which is a good call if you're going to go second floor, because that's the site that, as you said, is not really the most desirable. Typically, you want to go first floor and basement, those kind of sites. So if they can capitalize on this weaker pinching power, they might be able to get a map that otherwise would be more contentious for them. And look at that, a strong start. Nice vertical coming into Solarium to be able to take Howl down. Does take, or how ironic, takes a little bit of damage in turn, but when you're taking out a player like Finka, who's good for providing a little bit of extra tankiness when the timing's right, that is a pretty decent setback to Waterloo. So great aggression coming from Freeoz. Wow, what a shot from Mod as well. On a tight angle too. Got a little too aggressive, Honeypack.
Well, there's just under 2 minutes remaining, and even playing field, but I spoke too soon. Gert is gonna take down
Ooh.
Free Job, and shots are being fired. Nobody is gonna be dead just yet. Still gonna be a 3v4, but I mean, oh my gosh, Mod D at a literal hair's worth of HP left. Seems like, however, Waterloo have already started to make their way through, taking over Solarium. We'll see
Wow.
how they're going to close this round out. As I say that, Slate to take down Frios, and Gugger will find himself another. It's going to be up to Mr. Crash Out in a 1v4. Not only that, but it is going to be planting going down. 2 kills, though. It's going to be for Mr. Crash Out. He's got to find where this diffuser is being planted. In a 1v2, unfortunately, Mod D has the cross, a beautiful angle, and a valiant effort. Unfortunately, will not be enough. Concordia will lose that second round, but still a great try nonetheless. Waterloo will secure themselves around, and now we're at 1-1.
Perfect timing from Waterloo. And to be fair, that pinching point was still fair, right? We saw that initial pick coming out, and I believe that was from, if I'm not mistaken, it was either Freeoz or Free Job. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I mean, there wasn't really anyone to capitalize on it. But the big picture to keep in mind there is Waterloo is still very strong on initial entry and gaining some kind of control. And on second floor, that's a big detriment. If you're already having ground presence on Solarium and Bathroom so early on, that's pressure you really do not want to have on second floor. You want to hold that off as long as possible. But that unfortunately didn't happen. And that's what really kind of set some problems for Concordia to hold that round, despite not having to deal with as tight of pinches coming from Waterloo.
10 seconds left. 5 seconds to go.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing you have to really watch out for when it comes to these types of situations. But moving on, we're seeing a much more dynamic composition coming from Waterloo this time around. You've got Blackbeard, Maverick, Fuse. I'm telling you, I love to see me a little bit of Fuse. You can't go wrong with him until it goes wrong. But I digress. I love Fuse. I don't care what anyone else says. The Resolute Hostage Sabotage now onto the board. And I think this is going to reflect a much more aggressive play coming from Waterloo, looking to take direct site space. This is what's dangerous for Concordia, is Waterloo tends to, or so far, is able to find a way to force in no matter how much pressure there is. And this is what I would say is kind of the choke point, is having that window is always going to be scary. Going to get a little aggression onto blue stairs. They're going to be taking a significant amount of damage. That's going to be thanks to Black holding all the way in wine, but now the hunt. No one to pinch, so Black has every space to fall back, and he will be able to do just that.
That's going to be an unfortunate loss in the boys on Waterloo. I feel like Maverick isn't the craziest operator that you would need for attacking barring gaming. Honestly, I'm not too sure what the big purpose was for it, but anyways, that was that. A 5v4 turns to a 5v3, as unfortunately Mr. How Ironic yet again is going to get taken out quite early on in the round, and Concordia are going to have that 2-man advantage. Just about a minute and a half remaining in the round. It seems like Doug is trying to fish out somebody. They got to try and figure out how they can find it. Pix's library hold is super common, and a lot of the times attackers will end up bringing a Capitan, but I mean the Capitan isn't going to be brought inside of Waterloo regardless, though. No Capitan needed, actually, just Mod D and his superhuman aim. Not only that, but there's going to be something top mess, so he's got to be careful for that, but I'm very sure that he's aware somebody is going to be there. He's going to try and swing him out. He's going to have to do it fast. Just about a minute remaining in the round, and they got to get this execute. They got to even out this man count and start to get this show on the road.
Yeah, this is big pressure coming in for Waterloo, but the problem is they got to clear this top player, and a lot of aggression coming from Mod D to take a double kill, and Slate's going to take Black, and that is going to be a complete collapse on the second floor. That is huge for Waterloo. Disaster for Concordia, as now the player count has turned to Waterloo's advantage. And with 27 seconds to spare, this gives them a lot more wiggle room. But they still have to deal with that free agent, and that's Freoz. The smoke comes out, and here comes the walk up, the pushback from Crash Out to take one. The Diffuser's still down on the ground, about to go through. Crash Out taking a bit of damage. No one gonna be able to contest it. That Diffuser is gonna go down, but Crash Out at just the right time retaliates to take Slate, and it's gonna be up to Gugger to save this Diffuse. But with a little bit of backup, this is still doable. The timing is everything.
And of course it will be Gug. He is going to start to hear that diffuser, start to get diffused. He's going to have to start swinging. He's going to have to swing fast. And
Wow!
Oh my God, no way. Let him cook Gug by the skin of his teeth. Will end up getting that final kill. Honestly, oh my gosh, the Castle just had to be a little bit of a meat shield, even if he... I wouldn't even want to say that even if he swung, because to be honest, anything can happen. But Gug, finding those final 2 picks, I'm sure that he was scared. My fingers would be shaking as well. And Waterloo, despite starting off at that 2-man disadvantage, will still end up being able to flip it on its head and win out the round. A great job for them. As for Concordia, it seems like it just kind of slipped through their fingers once that top floor hold was just dismantled. That was it. They couldn't do anything else. And now, forced back down to the only site that they won. We're back down to the basics, back to the basement.
And that was a really good attempt coming from Concordia, to be 100% honest. Yes, Waterloo has a strong initial entry, but Concordia's free roam, when they have that option to float around wherever they want, it does cause quite a strain to Waterloo, and it did just that, giving them a player advantage. But that fold on the second floor was just, that was the one thing that was preventing Waterloo from making a move. But when Concordia lost second floor control, that just allowed them to sweep right in, and that pretty much just put a pinch. And while they had a good pushback, I mean, when you have a shield outside a window, that's kind of a tough situation. Unfortunately, the shots just didn't come through for Concordia. Very close round. But moving on to this round, we've now got Gurv on to Cali. I love the diversity of operators that we're seeing here, as well as a glass. Wait, this is looking like it's going to be a rush here, folks. Oh boy, that's why the glass is there every freaking time. And there's the Thatcher EMP going down, and it looks like the fuse is going down. Wall's getting open. I think we're going to see a lot of aggression here, but heavy stacking coming from Concordia, so it does look like they're ready. But the Nitro placement here is going to be crucial as the fuse is going down. Gurv TK's his own teammate. What is happening? Black going to be able to take another 5v3. Diffuser down, but another player goes down. That's going to be thanks to smoke damage, and this is already looking less than ideal, but you got one holding the long angle. That's Gurv.
We'll see. The diffuser is, however, planted, but regardless, Gurv is going to get taken down by Mr. Honey Pack. It's going to be up to Slate, who knows that somebody's going to be on top. We'll find that one kill, but is he aware that there is going to be somebody defusing that bomb? Unfortunately, it will not matter. Freoz is going to take down Slate, and that was a less than optimal type of push. Although fast, it seems like the walls were just not stable at all, not made strong enough, not even for themselves, as there was a TK that ended up coming out, a miscalculation on the side of Waterloo. And honestly, I feel like that was less of Concordia's win and more of just Waterloo's loss. It just seems like they lost at their own kind of mistakes more than anything else. And I feel like that loss was most definitely preventable. But regardless, that is in the past. Seems like both of these basement rounds are going to be undefeated on the side of Concordia. Now, instead of going back up to the top floor, which they went the second time around, they will be going over back to Bar and Gaming, which they just nearly lost. They just about almost had the win, and then they ended up getting killed. So we'll see if this round will be any better. As for Waterloo, again, I'm surprised that we're not going to be seeing a coming down.
Yeah, this is kind of what you would expect, but then again, keep in mind, a lot of teams tend to bring like a dock or something, and that can kind of complicate that process, which is typically intended to flush out those library players. Especially you have one over towards the double window, towards the balcony, that can help quite a bit in securing that position. A much more open-ended setup from Concordia coming through on Valk. So this could allow for a bit more aggression, which I think is a really good call coming from Concordia again. But yeah, I mean, this is a time when you would likely want to see a Capital, though the open concept definitely doesn't help that situation all too much.
I mean, I feel like the dock is basically there to kind of waste the Capitan bolts. I think the fact that they don't bring a dock is even more of a reason why you should bring the Capitan, because he's not, you're not going to have a dock to overstim yourself to, basically tank the flames of Capitan, which, like I said, is the main reason why I would expect to see a Capitan being brought, considering that there isn't going to be a dock at all on defense. But regardless, what also isn't going to be on defense is going to be the Legion and the Frost, as they're both taken out early. And Concordia starting at a 2-man disadvantage. Waterloo looking mighty strong right now. We'll see how long this lasts. Seems like everybody else is basically going to be in sight, except for Mr. Frios, who is still going to be up on this top floor. You have to hold this top floor as best as you possibly can. This is, I think, the main crutch of this, gym and, not gym, sorry, this gaming and bar site, is having this top floor hold. But, I mean, when you're just by yourself, it doesn't seem like it's going to be doing all that much for you. I'm a little bit nervous for Mr. Frios, as there is going to be a couple picks coming out from either side. Still going to be a 2-man disadvantage to the boys on Concordia. Cleaning it up slightly, it's going to be up to Frios, who was on the top floor. Not only that, but put in the fact that Gug is actually in a frost trap, and absolutely no way. I'm like, there's surely no way that they win this, and they do. Are you kidding me? What is going on? This looked like a surefire Waterloo round win. And Concordia still end up making it through. Are you joking? What is going on? The rounds that should be won aren't, and the rounds that should be lost aren't. I mean, what the? Oh my God, Concordia securing themselves yet another round. 3-2. They might just leave split at a 4-2 if they can win out this next round.
I honestly think that Concordia has a special recipe when it comes to their site holds. I mean, every time Waterloo has tried a full send against Concordia, it has just been an absolute collapse on their front. I mean, massive player losses, not even so much of a displacement. This is really a strong point for Concordia. Waterloo often gets a really strong setup, but man, when that execute comes through, it's just like something flips and everything freezes. That's honestly a big trouble for Waterloo, I would say, because they do have a very strong attack. But if you ultimately can't get that diffuser down and hold it, what good does it do? And I mean, we've seen them be able to do it before, thanks to Gugger holding on Fuse, but it's just getting there. And honestly, that execution, I would say, most of the time is kind of the hardest struggle. And that, indeed, it is for Waterloo.
Hopefully this round will be a little bit better. This will be the first time that Waterloo are going to be attacking the kitchen, and the first time that Concordia are going to be defending it. But I almost said Frios. I meant Free Job. Oh my God, that kind of sounds like Foot Job. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But anyways.
Wow!
Okay, another one is going to get taken down. Concordia, now 2-man disadvantage. However, this did happen the previous round, and they still ended up winning it out. So we'll see if that will be the case yet again. Having the Maestro is going to be interesting. You don't get to see that typically too often, especially after he was nerfed. But regardless, Concordia is still with that 2-man disadvantage. Make it a 3-man disadvantage, as Mod D will find another one. Boys on Waterloo looking absolutely stellar.
Wow, Waterloo is catching Concordia off guard. Now this is what prime intel gathering looks like. Being able to spot these rogue players and flush them out before they have a chance to respond. But we gotta ask the question of what's going on with Concordia's positioning right now. Exposing themselves every time. I think only one of those gunfights was actually a one-on-one. Every other one, they weren't even looking towards where Waterloo was positioning. That's an aggression that does them really good. And again, it shows through. Gurv catching Frios as well, establishing vertical. Now gonna be up to Crash Out to stop this. Takes one, but gets shut down by Slate. Talk about a very dangerous initial push. And with that, a timeout is called.
Yeah, I would definitely call a timeout after that too. Your last defensive round and you damn near get flawless. However, leaving split on 3-3, I mean, then again, not horrible, but considering this is your map pick and you did start off on the defense,
Yeah,
I
you'd
would expect a
little bit
4-2.
better.
I would at the very least expect a 4-2, especially considering it is your map pick. I would get it if you were attacking first, but you're not. See, now the easy part is the hard part is out of the way for the boys on Waterloo. Now they can do the defense and more than likely, clean it out, sweep it out. But then again, Concordia also playing great, doing what they absolutely should be doing. We'll see if their offense is, going to help them out any much or any more than their defense because I think a 3-3 on split on your own map and you're defending first is not optimal. It's not horrible, but I mean, it's definitely. I feel like at the very least, it should be 4-2.
Yeah, but ultimately, Concordia has to adopt their positioning or at least ensure that on attack they're not going to have the same problem because that kind of wipe really should never happen. Being 100% realistic, that is a nightmare situation that had unfolded there. Being open like that is, yeah, it causes a lot of problems, especially when you get wiped like that. It's also a morale hit as well, and I think that's what the timeout also served to be, was a bit of a mental reset now that they were moving on to attack, and they need it, right? You don't want to start off on a bad note after such a round turnout. I will say though, the timing is a little bit gutsy, considering you usually want to go at least one round into the second half before you go for something like a timeout. But we'll see how that potentially pays off. I'm sure Waterloo is going to play this very aggressively on the roam. They've shown how they like to full send it, and I'm willing to bet this is this kind of behavior we can come to expect.
Well, at the very least, Slade is going to be up on that top floor, top mez. We'll see how aggressive the boys on Waterloo will get. I saw those wall openings, so it doesn't seem like anybody is going to be able to hide behind any sort of wall. Not a defender and not an attacker. Just seems like it's just going to be your gun against your opponent's gun, and that's just going to be it. So we'll see how this execute ends up breaking down. But I do want to point out that there is a statistic that I heard a long time ago when I first started casting that, 75% of the time, the team that does end up calling the timeout will end up winning the round right after that timeout is called. So we'll see. We'll see if Concordia are going to be able to kind of live up to that statistic, or if they're going to fall a little bit flat. As for Slate, the only person that is going to be up on that top floor, actually, my bad, Gerv is also going to be up here. Actually, not only that, but Ironic is also going to be up here. He was the only one previously, now won't be, but will also be picked up. 3 people on this top floor, the rest are going to be at the bottom. How Ironic is also going to get first picked yet again, or another round. He's just taken out early, and we will see Gerv as well. Just seems like the walls are crumbling for the top floor, and, well, Concordia seem to be absolutely slamming Waterloo.
That is a deadly pinch coming in from Concordia. Being able to just keep Gerv, Slate, and How Ironic all completely trapped like that, that is the hallmark of a devastating attack. And I mean, that is a huge step for them, being able to sweep 3 players like that. But you still got one rogue player. That's going to be Mod D. You got Gugger, who is currently on site. So then the question now remains, what's going to happen to this rogue player? And, oh, nice droning coming in from Concordia as Gugger, or I'm sorry, Mod D is going to get spotted. And now the hunt is on for her, or at least to push her back enough that they can isolate Gugger. And with 5 players, that is more than doable. The pressure now starting to mount as they start to approach the site, looking to get this player down. Gugger holding on for dear life. An aid coming out, tries to peek to take the pick, but it's not going to happen. Mod D does manage to pick up 2, and that's from the West main walk-up, which is now a problem again. And that's going to be 2 players down, free job and crash out. Still a 2-player advantage, but with 30 seconds remaining, going to have to walk in. And this is where the open concept starts to benefit Mod D, having full view of everything. Nothing to hide while she has the cover over in West Main. The plant now starting, looking to hit the fuser. Does succeed, manages to find a tight spot for a triple kill to take Honey Pack. And this is much more favorable odds as Mod D picks up another. That's a quad kill. Freezaw's down. 7 seconds left. Black has to pick up diffuser and go for the plant now. She's running out of time or has to go for the pick. Now starts diffuser, and she has not ran up, but time is out, and there is no option for a very clean clutch coming out from Mod D. The walk-up, devastating.
What did I say? What did I say? Keep an eye out on Mod D. That is my favorite player on Waterloo. Mod mother trucking D, dude. God, I I cannot believe he just won that. I cannot believe he just won that. I don't even know how the hell he was able to kill whoever was planting behind the bomb the first time around. It was a sledge. I don't know how he ended up getting that angle, but he did. Let the man cook. Oh my gosh, that round actually had me on my toes. My toes were clenched. A valiant effort from Waterloo, and it pays off. Concordia. Literally, it was basically a 4v1, a 5v1. Are you joking? Are you joking? That's a round you do not lose under no circumstances. And you lost it. I cannot believe that, Waterloo. Really, not even Waterloo. Mod D, congratulations for putting the team on your shoulders that round. Concordia still have the chance. I mean, it's only 3-4. It's a round difference, but I'm sure that that is mental chalking in a way.
Yeah, and that is a really big setback coming from Concordia, right? That timeout was an opportunity to reset. Oh my gosh, okay. Okay, Waterloo looking to really just demoralize Concordia at this point. You had a rough timeout, didn't really go the way you were looking for, and then you come out with a spawn kill on Free Job, who died right before the apex of Mod D popping off. This is looking really tough for Concordia right now. That's your hard breacher too. You still have Black up on the board, but regardless, that is a big loss for Concordia, right? You had an opportunity to kind of, you know, reset and get prepared, right? Which was kind of to your advantage, but yeah, just completely out the window in favor of Waterloo. And with that one player down, that is gonna result in a slowdown. I mean, we're talking a minute already passed and minimal building presence. I think the trouble is only gonna continue from here.
See, still about 2 minutes remaining on the board. However, that is your hard breach, at least one of them. Along with that, we are also going to have Flores gone. I'm actually surprised that despite having an Azami and a Valk being able to be played, they're not going to be played on the side of Waterloo. But then again, a lot of time, because they're so often banned, they're not usually factored into defensive setups at all. So I guess I do kind of understand it, but regardless, just seems like the walls are crumbling and near flawless might just come out in favor of Waterloo if Crash Out isn't able to find any picks this round. Still has a lot of time. Is he able to pull a Mod D and pull off the impossible? We'll find out. He might just be using this time to talk to his team as well. There is about a minute and change, and this might be the perfect opportunity to basically talk to your team and kind of figure out what the next step is. I mean, Gugger will, of course, be the one to run out and try and get that pick, but regardless, it just doesn't really seem like this is going to be going the way of Concordia. It's going to be unfortunate, and I don't want to rule it out too soon, but I mean, it seems like Waterloo might be getting to match point if the boys on Concordia are not careful.
Yeah, this is a really dangerous situation coming out from Concordia. And they definitely need this timeout right now, or this effective timeout, to try to figure out what they need to do here. Waterloo has shown some extreme levels of aggression, and it has had devastating results to Concordia, as they don't tend to play super fast, and that's really starting to bite them, and that just cut their timeout a little bit short as well. This is where they have to keep that ability to contain Waterloo. They've shown their capabilities of doing so on executes very well, and now they have to do the same on attack, because right now Waterloo is a loose cannon and they are out of control at the moment.
Well, we'll see if Concordia is going to be able to control that cannon, because if they don't, well, they're going to be at a disadvantage, and Waterloo are going to end up putting themselves at match point. As for what's going to happen next, well, Gug, typical Gug going Clash. If you don't know Gug, this guy plays literally, it's got to be a swap between Cali and Clash, and he's just trolling out. I don't even know if it's considered trolling the way that he literally plays it so often. You'd think that he's actually genuinely good at these operators and uses them, with their intended purpose and not just to troll around. But we'll see how that pans out going this basement floor. Gonna have that double hard breach absolutely necessary. We'll see if Concordia are gonna be able to do anything. Last round was a little bit shambolic. Well, it's gonna be unfortunate. We'll see if they're gonna be able to have a little bit of a better offense versus last round.
No way. Frios just switched off from Nomad to Flores. That's kind of scary. And oh, not again! Slate, you animal! Already with another spawn peek. And at one of the most common runouts, too. That's your Thatcher down. And you do have Cades on the board. That's a big problem. Because I don't think Concordia has anything else to deal with that, which means they're going to be forced to deal with a top down in order to get that. Oh, wait, they do have Frios still. But the reason I was saying that's a problem is because now you can't Nomad the Clash, which is pretty much a solid way to push her back substantially. That option out of the way, they do get the wall open despite the setback of losing Thatcher, but it's unlikely they're going to be getting much more walls than that. But that Clash is now going to be a problem. How do you push back a shield in a site like this? That's a pretty tough challenge to unpack.
We'll see how they do end up unpacking it. Slate, although to get the first pick, will also get first picked on his side for Waterloo. A 4v4 is what we are looking at, and it seems like the boys on Concordia are also going to try and open up this backside, get themselves two sort of points of entry for how they're going to push in through site. It is going to be Mr., of course, Free Job from the back there, and I wonder if he's going to get any help from anybody else, because as of right now, it just seems like it's going to be him and that Flores. See, actually, never mind. The Thermite is also going to be joining Mr. Free Job, but Free Job is actually going to be joining his dead teammate, as he also dies. So now him and Honeypack are going to be chilling out by themselves, along with Gurr, who gets taken out, will be joining Slates. Just over a minute remaining, and we're still at a 5v5. It's about a evened out playing field if you're not taking a look at the HP on the side of Concordia.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Yeah, Concordia definitely has a health disadvantage here, and the problem too is you still got Gugger on the board and still with the roam. This not only adds unpredictability, but it also means you still have a problem with to deal with. However, that Deimos, huge in spotting out Gugger, which could have been a huge setback considering they are going to be pushing from Boiler with the clock now down to 38 seconds. Not much more time for a rotate, and this is where taking Gugger down is going to be huge, or at least pushing her back far enough that they can do what needs to be done unimpeded. And so far, she's been left entirely unaddressed, which could prove a problem if she goes down West Main, which is exactly what she's doing. And this is where things become a detriment. Flash goes down, and it does look like they're going to go for a last-second rotate, which is really aggressive for how much time is remaining. And I think that is going to really hit them where it hurts fast, and it does look like Waterloo has intel that Concordia's coming to this direction. Diffuser goes down, but the refrag comes in. That's going to be blocked. Attempts to go diffuse, but goes down and turn, and time runs out.
A great hold from the boys on Waterloo. I think, honestly, Concordia just ran out of time, and they kind of just ran out of options. They were just like, damn it, we can't really make our way in through here, and there's not enough time to really get a full, nice execute. We're just going to have to go through the initial hole that we did end up creating, which was main breach. But unfortunately, I mean, with such little time and, you know, you running right in, you're bound to be heard. And not only that, but so many angles where operators can see you. You're not hidden. You're not hiding in plain sight. You're most definitely not. And unfortunately, that is going to swing Waterloo into match point. They just need to win out this round, and they will secure themselves map 1 out of a potential 3.
Yeah, I mean, this is really big for Waterloo. I mean, considering this is Concordia's map, considering they are 3 rounds up, and their aggression is showing no signs of stopping, and they're even doubling down. I mean, for goodness sakes, you got Gugger on the cap. If there's a single interrogation, then that solidifies everything we've discussed so far, which is that Waterloo is a loose cannon, out of control, and Concordia just doesn't have an answer to it. And that's what I'm kind of wanting to see. 1, because that would be funny, and 2, all hell would break loose right after that, because Waterloo knows how to capitalize on that aggression. And now the question is, are they going to go for a spawn peek? That's what I'm curious of, because they do love to go for it. But so far, we're not seeing anything. So a little bit of scale back as far as immediate round aggression, or not, as Mod D goes for it. Crash Out going to be catching him. However, we'll see how Ironic pick up Honeypack. Right as I say that, Waterloo proves me wrong. So thanks, Waterloo. I appreciate you.
Evened out playing field, not too shabby. That's going to be the Frost in favor of the Thatcher, which, to be honest, that pick is definitely in the favor of Waterloo. Frost has all of her utility down, basically. That's it. All she really is just an operator with her gun. If she's able to put down all of her Frost mats, and granted that you're using like a VP, you have the VP down. As for Thatcher, I mean, Thatcher's ability needs to be used when he's alive. Unfortunately, he's not even going to be able to
Ooh.
use that. And not only that, but it seems like Frios is also not going to be able to use his abilities. He gets taken down in free job as well. So actually, just everybody on Concordia isn't going to be able to use their abilities at all, as they end up getting taken down so fast I can't even finish my thought. Well, there you go. The boys on Waterloo doing a great first impression for map 1. Chalet dismantling Concordia on their own. Map pick, let it be known. The boys on Waterloo did not just come to play, they came to slay. And great job to them, map 1, for securing that win.
Oh yes, slay indeed
Tough
they did.
opponents.
My gosh. I mean, the amount of aggression coming through. We saw glimpses and pieces of that. It was a little bit gimmicky, right? We did kind of see these forced walk-ins, and Concordia was effective in containing that. But I guess they just didn't have that same energy when it came to attack. We saw the timeout, and after that, everything just kind of went wrong for Concordia. They just could not contain it. I mean, we did see the Nomad come out a few times, but it just really wasn't doing them what they needed it to. Often either dying too early or the Nomad not coming through at all, like we saw with the Clash. I kind of discussed that, how they swapped the Flores. And that was a big problem when you have Clash, as you don't really have a means to deal with her other than directly confronting her, which takes time, right? So that was really a struggle point, along just being unable to contain Waterloo. It was an aggression that proved too much for them, and that ended up costing them their map, which does potentially spell trouble then for them as we do move on to map 2, which will be Cafe Dostoevsky. But before we get into that map, we're going to go on a quick break, so we'll be right back, and then we'll be into the action yet again. All right, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw game one on Chalet with Concordia versus Waterloo. And boy, what a matchup it was. We saw a disgusting clutch coming out from Mod D, and we've seen some pretty interesting tactics coming in from Waterloo, some of which were not very successful, particularly on attack, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that it started off with a 3-3 split, timeout called, but despite that, Waterloo came out on top and went on a tear on defense with a very aggressive style of roaming that Concordia unfortunately was not able to contain. Though they did do a good job of holding it back when they were on the defense and quite well against the execute. But unfortunately, when you're at a 3-3 split, that isn't quite enough when you're dealing with a devastating defense in turn. But with that said, we are going to be moving on to map 2, Cafe Dostoevsky, and it does seem that both of the teams are ready to go. So,
Let's take a look
B,
at who we're gonna be banning.
yeah, we kind of talked about bans a little bit. I'm calling it right now. With the aggression Waterloo presented, Concordia needs to ban Solus. If they don't ban Solus, Waterloo is going to get stupid on their defense. I'm calling it right now. What do you think of that?
Solus, I mean, I could definitely see it, but I feel like Blackbeard would make the most sense. I think on another attack, I think a Dokkaebi or a Ying would just either that or even something like a Blitz. But then again, I don't think Waterloo really did too much with the Blitz anyways. Um, so I would keep it simple. Solus could be an option, but I think honestly, I would say okay, Nomad is really odd. I I don't even know honestly who Concordia is gonna ban now,
Oh.
considering that they just banned
Oh.
Nomad. But anyways, I think that I would
It's
hope
bug again.
an Azami would be banned, along with maybe something like even a Tubanao, maybe somebody like a Kaid, somebody like a Valk. The Azami makes the most sense. Yes, I like that ban. I think that ban is very smart.
Yeah.
I'm concerned on who we're gonna see. Is it Waterloo? This will be the ban. Okay, Mira. That
It's
makes
Concordia. It's swapped again. And
okay.
Concordia banned Mira. I don't like this. I really don't. This is scary. Like you have all of the ops that slow things down banned. And for a team that wants to play fast paced, this is heavily in Waterloo's advantage. We're not even in the game yet, and I genuinely believe Concordia is at a distinct disadvantage. This is not the ban lineup you want to see. I mean, from the Nomad ban to the Mira ban, those are pretty big blows to a slower play style, which is what Concordia needs here. So losing the Mira, losing the Nomad, and even the Blackbeard. Although I don't think we saw too much action of Blackbeard on the side of Concordia. Those are all pretty much punishing playstyle, and each team playing to their strengths. So I do suspect that this is going to be a very rough fight for Concordia. Though they could prove me wrong, this is a totally different map, but keep in mind, we're now in Waterloo's territory, not Concordia.
Typically, if you are going to be picking a map, you are picking it knowing that not only is your defense strong, but your offense is also strong. I always say this, but I think that teams have a lot of nerve picking a map that they only perform good on one side with. I think that it's useless, and if you're going to pick a map, you better know that map off like it's like the back of your hand. And Cafe is a great map, often like Chalet, where you can see every single site played throughout the entire game. There are teams that will go kitchen, there are teams that will go the top floor, and there are teams that will either go that mining or that fireplace side or that fireplace and that library side. So all four sites usually end up being played at least once throughout an entire game, which is why I love a map like Cafe, which is why I love a map like Chalet. So we'll see how that bodes for both sides. As for what's happening right now, Waterloo already starting to make their way in through CL, but will unfortunately get taken down. Mr. Gurf by Honeypack, who takes him out early. That is going to be the Ash off the board. Luckily, though, there isn't any Mira, so I feel like Ash's main ability, at least, you know, in this game, is just going to be for opening stuff up and getting in quickly.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a setback as far as destructibility goes, because now you don't really have anyone who can do that from a distance, which is risky, and wow! Okay, talk about a nice shot coming out from Slate to take Crash out. A little bit of aggression. Concordia trying to turn it back onto Waterloo, but it's didn't fully pay off as they did lose one player. You've got Black holding close with a shotgun, and not a whole lot of support for a wraparound. You still got one player in bathroom, but that's gonna be Honeypack, who's already very low HP. This could prove disastrous. Mod going down. That's gonna be a nice shot coming in from Honeypack to take Mod D down, but Gugger does manage to catch one. It's gonna be Black, the shotgun player. That is gonna allow them a lot of access to Piano. This walk-up will be huge to turn that around, and it is free job taken. How ironic down, bringing it 3-2, and that is going to be a rough start for Waterloo as they still have minimal building presence.
Take a look at Honeypack's HP, though. It is going to be extremely low. These boys are going to have to watch out for that CS, that kind of new back lickle swing. Just about 45 seconds, though, and the boys on Waterloo are going to start to make their way through. CL seems like it's going to be there for the taking, but then again, like I said, they're going to have to be careful for what's happening in New Balk. I'm sure that they're aware there is going to be somebody over by the bathroom. If they weren't then, well, they are going to be now. Regardless, free job yet again, getting another pick. It's going to be up to Gug in a 1v3, but he's already taken down one. It's going to be a 1v2 now. 20 seconds, though, time is not going to be in his favor. He's going to have to start making his way in. He's going to start making his way in
No
fast.
diffuser either.
Just about 15 seconds. He is going to find
Whoa.
one. Gug looking for that four-piece just tucked.
Oh.
Right, hard, left. Is he aware? Unfortunately, even if he was, Frio take him out. A great and valiant effort from Gug, but unfortunately, the boys on Concordia are not out just yet, securing their first round of their defensive side for Cafe.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of a wake-up call for Waterloo. That was a lot of aggression coming from Concordia, and very well placed too. That walk-up from New Balcony, chef's kiss, beautifully done. That, I think right there, was not a tempo that Waterloo was expected. However, you're still playing with fire. You gotta temper it, right? You know, it's kind of like welding, right? Too much oxygen, it just kind of fizzles, right? You get too much acetylene, you get smog, and smog doesn't really get you anywhere. This is what Concordia has to temper. The pacing there on the aggression was perfect. If they can keep that up and not allow Waterloo to just start slapping them down on initial entry, I think they've got a good recipe to be really racking up some rounds.
See, I'm looking at mainly Mr. Gug on Cali. Told you, he's always playing these weird Buki operators. He's always on the Clash. Now he's bringing the Cali. We've seen him on the Cav before. See how this round bodes for these boys on Waterloo. They are going to, okay, so I was going to say they are going to bring a Ram, which we did see Ram get banned last map, but this time, actually, no, they swapped off the Ram for a Sledge instead, which I argue, I think that the Ram would be much better, especially if you're pushing down on this basement floor, but I guess it's not really a concern for the boys on Waterloo. We'll see how this round goes out for them. Actually, well, maybe they're going to be using the Sledge for the castles instead, making their way in decently fast, but we'll see really if they're going to kind of be opening up a lot of vert, because this site is very vert heavy. However, how ironic, he's going to get taken down first. How ironic, trying to survive within the first minute of the round. It's like impossible for him.
Yeah, it's definitely seeming to be a challenge. However, we do get a slap back once again like we saw in the first round. Free job going immediately down. And thanks to that castle barricade, there's really not a way for anyone to save fire job here. They're going to have to rotate all the way through closet, and they have a ping. They know there was one coming that direction, but oh, you got to watch for the frost mat. Does manage to get back up, but this is going to provide opportunity to revive as Free Job has been able to crawl all the way back. And Crash Out takes Gugger down as well. Talk about a best case scenario for Concordia and a disaster for Waterloo. That is the power of the Frost Map right there. You lose sight of your general surroundings, and it allows for a major displacement that gives opportunity to reposition, adjust, and get aggressive.
I think Gug also last map died to a frost mat as well, so it just seems like history is repeating itself. And boys on Concordia with the two-man advantage are looking quite nice. However, they do have two operators that are extremely low. They gotta be careful. Still two extra players that the boys on Waterloo are gonna have to worry about. And as time continues to tick, 1 minute they're gonna have to start making some moves towards the site if they want to think about winning this round out.
That's a big setback. They're looking for that Cade, and it doesn't look like they found it. They're trying to get that hatch open, but keep in mind that freezer is still open, so there is a walk-in opportunity, but when you got free job on the shotgun, that's still pretty dangerous territory. Even though he's spotted, he's not going to care. He's got a shotgun. Mod D taken out, crash out. That is going to even the numbers just a little bit, but you still have trouble to hold into you. They're pretty splintered right now, and they've got to make a push soon with 30 seconds remaining. Gerv getting a nice shot, hunting down free job. Got a little bit too cocky there with exposing himself, and that could potentially provide an opportunity for a walk-in, but it's still close quarters, funnel. It's gonna be a dire situation, though the ping helps to bring some real-time information, but doesn't catch free odds. Manages to take one. Gerv does sustain a double kill. Still 2 and 2. Black goes down as well, but there's Diffuser down. This is really bad. Oh no, Slade, you spotted him! Oh no! He didn't take the shot. He didn't see him. He was right there.
Close. Waterloo nearly winning that too, despite having that 3 to 5 man disadvantage. But unfortunately for them, they lose out on that round. The boys on Concordia doing absolutely amazing for their defensive half of Cafe. And with that, it looks like we're going to be going that fireplace and reading. This is the typical tertiary site, I would say, more than mining. But regardless, this is where they're going to be going, and we'll see if Waterloo. That round was extremely close. I think that honestly, the time was just not in the favor of the boys on Waterloo, and them already starting on the back foot definitely hurt them a lot more than expected. We are going to be seeing the Valk, which I love seeing the Valk on this map. I absolutely love going Valk on Cafe. So many,
She's so good
because
on
it's
Cafe.
so, yeah, because it's such an open map. There's so many angles for you to have a Val cam that'll just oversee basically an entire area. It's great. So I love going her, especially on Cafe. So the Concordia boys seem to love her as well. We'll see how well her Val cams will come into play as this round begins. The boys on Waterloo are gonna have to figure out, you know, what is their next step, because this is their map pick, and so far they're down 2-0. They're down 2-0.
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, Concordia has just been on an absolute steamroll so far, and their aggression has just been perfectly timed. And this is kind of Waterloo's, I would say, kryptonite, right? When their aggression is contained and even pushed back, it seems they don't really know what to do from there. Their recovery is, I think is the key term here, is rather weak. I mean, sure, you've had some very nice clutch moments coming out from either like Duggar, Slade, or Mod, but that doesn't always salvage the situation, especially when the numbers get too dire. And wow, what an aggressive and sudden drop in! A 1-for-1 trade comes through, but it does look like they're gonna try to go for a plant, but free job slaps back, able to take Gerv. Little unexpected, very aggressive. They still had Diffuser in hand, so it wasn't all or nothing as I was expecting at first. But still, regardless, didn't pay off, losing both your Gridlock and your Deimos.
Yeah, well, then again, Concordia still going to be at that man advantage. However, that will not last long. Slate already knows, and that top light player is going to be taken care of. At the very least, it seems like the top floor is going to be all right, at least for that side. Not only that, but geez, Black is going to get taken down by Mr. How Ironic, and everybody else is just going to be down below. The rest of the boys on Waterloo all up on that third floor, waiting to make their way down to a site. Still to be a 2v3 with just over a minute remaining in the round. We'll see how Waterloo are going to start to get their execute down, because we saw previously last round, it was just too little too late. Not enough time in the round for them to really get a proper execute and to make their way through. And if the boys on Waterloo do not start to pick it up and kind of figure out how they're going to be moving things around this round, well, they might just catch themselves a little bit short for time.
Yeah, I mean, the time is definitely kind of the essence, but we got to keep in mind that both teams have almost perfect intel on each other. I mean, look how many pings are coming out from both sides. You've even got the Kevi calls coming out as well, and that's kind of dangerous to Concordia, how much information is available. But I mean, Legion hits are starting to go through. That's those goo mines. That's going to give a little bit of information. Plant now going down. Concordia now has the Conus to try to stop this. But right now, it doesn't look like they're in a position. Riaz does catch one, but Diffuser does go down and crash out in a vital position to take one, but does quickly in turn go down. And there's the attempted follow-up, but it's not going to happen as Mod D clutches another to give Waterloo their first round.
We love Mod D around here. Great job with the boys on Waterloo and a valiant effort from Concordia. I mean, that top, that little rotate all the way up the white stairs when I saw that was absolutely beautiful. I thought I was like, damn, this might just be the needle in the thorn in the side of Waterloo for this round. This honestly might be something a little bit unexpected that might come to bite them when they least expected it. And it almost did. Regardless, Waterloo securing themselves their first offensive round 3 in. And we're going to see Gug back on Kelly again. I'm assuming that's probably for the red wall, but it seems like he just loves these obscure operators.
Yeah, he sure does. But speaking of obscure ops, we have an Oryx on the board. That's going to be coming from Free Job. Bianca, I'm actually really curious. What do you think Concordia is hoping to achieve by bringing an Oryx? Do you think they're potentially just looking to get more destructibility, or maybe double down on roam aggressiveness? What are we thinking here?
I mean, honestly, well, it seems like he's going to be at least helping with, you know, his actual ability, opening up holes and kind of bits of rotates for his team. But I also think that having these hatches open can be a great way for him to, because Oryx is able to hop through the hatches. I think it's a great way for Oryx to kind of make his way around a site, almost as if he's like a vigil. There to waste time and basically kind of be this ghost presence for the boys on Waterloo, kind of anywhere and nowhere as he's making his way in and out, hopping in through these hatches and being able to drop them at ease. I did notice that there was one hatch open. I'm assuming maybe even that CS hatch might be opened as well for him, but we will see where he's going to be at. At the very least right now, he's still going to be up on that top floor. So it doesn't seem like he's going to be doing too much, but who isn't also going to be doing too much is going to be Slate, as he's taken out early, not even a minute into the round, and the boys on Waterloo already starting off on the back foot. The Oryx doesn't really seem to be doing an awful lot in terms of the roam game.
Yeah, that's definitely a bit of a rough start, especially when keep in mind how both of these teams have been putting out so much intel investment, right? You want to play tightly knit when you have that kind of information matrix, and so far, it just hasn't really gone through as Slate has gone down, and now Black too, as Gugger was able to take him down, and still looking for another. Gugger able to take Honey Pack as well. A very aggressive jump down, paying off extremely well for Waterloo, putting them at a player advantage. Still wary of the roam, doesn't possibly suspect there's one below. Free Job taking one, Mod D the next. Now a 2v3, looking very good for Waterloo in comparison to prior rounds.
Not only that, but there is going to be the Valk over below. They might just have a pre-placed C4 that the boys on Waterloo are unaware about. Having these Valk cams might be a little bit of a problem for Waterloo if they're not careful. As for, of course, Mr. Frios, he's going to be solo dolo, just waiting for these attackers to come to him. At the very least, the boys on Waterloo do have a hold of that bomb, but they're just slowly trying to make their way through. It doesn't seem like they're really ready to take the plunge just yet. They are, however, also going to be able to drone out Mr. Crash Out. They are going to be able to figure out where he is residing. 1v3 now, as Gug is going to find another one. This might just be another Waterloo round win, and yes, it is, as Gur will find and clean up that final kill. Scoreboard is now going to be 2-2 as they've tied things up quite nicely.
I don't know if you saw that, but Crash Out made a critical mistake there. She had the element of the unknown being below, which is always scary, especially when it's a Valk with a Nitro with all those cams and spots that you don't even know about. But she shot the drone that completely passed her, giving away where she was and giving the Conus for Waterloo to push out beyond and then just lock her out like we saw when she tried to rotate over the bathroom. But regardless, that was a much better push coming out from Waterloo, kind of putting Concordia in its place when it comes to aggression. And talk about a good start, already popping 2 drones of Waterloo on Concordia. That's a start that you want to keep, because Waterloo has been doing really well with their droning efficiency, as we've clearly seen with how they've been able to capitalize off of it. And that's where Concordia has to be a little bit more careful, because right now, they're an open book. Where they're going, where their util is, it's all getting exposed, and we're not seeing a mute, and we're not even seeing a lot of these drones getting shot out when it needs to, often being too little too late. This is where adaptation is key here. And unfortunately, Concordia, despite taking 2 drones down, even though it's showing 4, I'm almost certain it's 2, I don't think that's gonna really be enough.
See how this round is going to bode for either side. We are gonna have somebody holding in that Christmas tree area. It's gonna be none other than Mr. Holy crap, I almost said Frio's free job. Sorry. It is gonna be free job, but he's not even gonna take a smidge of damage at all. However, he was gonna be pushed and aggroed a little bit, but it seems like they're not even gonna bother with him anymore. They're just gonna toss him to the side, realize that he's there, and figure, you know what, we're not gonna bother with going head on. Maybe they're gonna try and do something from above instead. The droning is going to be coming out, and so here it is on the 3rd floor. Seems like the boys on Waterloo are starting to make their way through, and it's going to be a top down at the very least, starting all the way on top. But spoiler alert, nobody is on the top floor. Actually, nobody is anywhere except for on that bottom floor, just by sight.
Yeah, and that's going to be big for Waterloo to give them a lot more time efficiency in their clears, and they have the operators to get that efficiency. Usually you want to put a little bit of a pushback and more of a staggered effect to try to punish that type of approach, but because they don't have anything like that, this makes a situation where they are getting a lot of presence, and the vertical can be quite dangerous on the site of Kitchen. And that's a threat that Concordia now faces. Also getting spotted over by Garage Stairs. They're not going to be able to play that very aggressively. Again, this is where that amazing drone efficiency comes through, and now also spotting out all of this different utility, thinking that was a paid cloth. Understandable. But this is where things get scary for Concordia. Keep in mind, it is 5 versus 5. No one has died yet, but this is still major grounds that Waterloo has gained that could prove troublesome to Concordia unless they can really show up in containing Waterloo like they have done in the past.
Despite, you know, Concordia not holding anything except for the bottom floor, it seems like Waterloo have absolutely taken their time, and I feel like they've taken a lot more than necessary. They have 35 seconds to get this execute going, and they haven't really made a single dent in the defensive line for the boys on Concordia, which is absolutely insane because it's not like they had anybody really to fight with on these top floors. The first one to get taken down is going to be none other than Gugger. So 20 seconds remaining. The shots are going to be firing from everywhere. Waterloo will have that man advantage. We'll see how long it's going to last. Another one is going to get taken down, and now we're getting under 10 seconds. They do have the diffuser in hand. Mod D is going to have to make his way through, and he's going to have to start to get that plan going. Something needs to happen because it's going to be another close game. Mod D, make your way through. It's going to start planning behind that B-bomb chassis. But C4 to take out all 3. And again, another round taking way too long. Only Concordia holding that bottom floor. It doesn't take you 2 minutes to chip away at the defense, especially when you have full control of the top and the top 3rd floor and the 2nd floor.
This is a tale as old as Siege itself. When you take too long on 1st floor of Cafe Dostoevsky, it has devastating consequences, and we saw just that. I mean, you still had nitros on the board, full utility available to Concordia, and Waterloo didn't really do anything to dissect it. They could. They were out of time. They took way too long looking to get something out of their vertical and their holds. It just didn't happen. Because Concordia was holding a more extended setup, that mitigated Waterloo's presence dramatically. And not to mention the horizontal presence didn't really kick in until it was way too late. It was just a bad call coming in from Waterloo, and Concordia abused that amazingly, holding their extensions, punishing them as they try to push through bar, and then sweeping them with a great nitro as well, coming in from Black.
The Nitro came in clutch. We'll see how Split will leave us. Concordia might just leave Split at a 3-3. Or they might leave it at a 4-3. They do have the potential to leave it with that advantage. Well, we'll see if Waterloo are going to let them get away with it. Already, we are going to have a bit of an aggressive play, but then again, it's nothing new to the boys on Waterloo. It is going to be none other than Gurv, who is going to be on that Deimos, but already giving away his position over by Brownstairs as he's shooting that cam. He's going to rotate around and see what else he can do. As for the rest of his team, seems like we're all going to be on the roof. Going to be, of course, opening up these hatches and making our way through red as typical push.
Well, right now, this is a bit of a dangerous situation for Gurv, as he's pretty much all alone downstairs, and with no intel or nothing to support him. If you got one on stairs, that's a bit scary. We've also got the shotgun player. That's going to be Black, holding towards box. Does reveal himself. Nitro going out, but no one's holding. That's not going to connect. Slate taking a lot of damage, but does manage to catch Free Job on Piano. That's an overextension, but the shotgun coming in from Black does manage to catch Slate, while also being able to get away. Freehouse is down as well, and that's Waterloo's time to strike, and they are seeing it clear as day, looking for that walk-up, but that shotgun's dangerous. They have the ping. Will the shotgun come out? I don't know. They do start to get droning, do spot the mute. Honeypack able to take Gurv. They know that there's a smoke player here with a shotgun. Freehouse getting confirmed by Mod. This is looking very good for Waterloo for the presence they have. Oh, but there's the underground Nitro goes off, but it's too little too late. Gugger barely being able to make it out and goes for the shorty against shotgun. Wow, gutsy from Gugger, but does have the element of surprise and manages to take that shot first. Peeker's advantage, ladies and gentlemen. Textbook example, but Honeypack pushing back, manages to take. How ironic. Brings it to a 2-2. This is still very close. A nice flick coming in from Crash Out, but Mod secures the refrag and a finisher onto Honeypack, giving Waterloo the 3-3 split.
Beautifully done at the end of that round. Like you said, the 3-3 split. Now Waterloo going on to their defensive side of this map, which happens to be theirs. We'll see how well they're going to be able to defend and consider that there is going to be their map pick. Curious to see if we're going to see any... I was going to say if we're going to see any Valk, but no, not at all. And interestingly enough, they're going to be going that tertiary site before anything, the reading and fireplace. Honestly, not typically do I ever see the reading and mining getting picked first. Actually, I never see it get picked first. So this is going to be something completely new and interesting. Speaking of also something a little bit new and interesting, like you had mentioned, the Oryx pick. Well, we are going to have an Oryx over here yet again, and it's going to be played by none other than Gug.
Oh yeah, he loves his pocket picks. I mean, talk about de facto flex over here, goodness, with the variety of operators he brings forward. Now, as a flex player myself, I deeply appreciate that variety. Much respect to him. But with that said, it's now time for Concordia to pull through on attack. Now, keep in mind, and this might have changed, I don't think it has. Right now, Cafe is very, very defender-sided. So this does give Waterloo a little bit of an edge. Oh, there's a little bit of that run-out and aggression. But Gurv's not having or gets shut down. Concordia not having any of it to start.
Unfortunately, from the side of Waterloo, they're taking these early risks and unfortunately paying the price for them at the hands of Gurv. Not only that, but Gurv is also Wamai, so he is an operator where his ability is dependent on how long he is alive for. And so, you know, now that he's being first picked early at the beginning of the round, he's going to have basically little to no effect with his util because of the fact that he's died so early.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's kind of the con of being aggressive with active utility like that. You can just lose it immediately. They know there's one bathroom, going for the hunt. Flash is coming out, just looking for a little bit of aggression to take advantage of as Concordia holds this position, but so far hasn't really caught anything quite yet. And there's the bar peak possibly coming through. Will Concordia be able to catch one? So far, not the case. But this is stalling quite a bit of time as they're going to have to work their way down eventually. But these players still holding above are going to cause a little bit of trouble for them as they haven't cleared them out quite yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult for them to make their way down, considering that there is going to be people holding in from above. It is going to be right now, I was going to say just Mod D and Gug, but Mod D to get taken down actually is going to be a trade. So an eye for an eye, it's still going to be a 4v3, and the boys on Concordia are going to have that man advantage, but will it be for too long? We'll find out, as Free Job is going to be tagged and put in a bad situation. As for Gug, he's already made his way down. It's too much action going on from above and too many situations where he's able to get pinched. It seems like the top floor is going to be for Concordia all by themselves. We'll see as 45 seconds begin on the board. One to get taken down is going to be none other than Honey Pack. And well, now that we're in an even playing field, we'll see how much easier it's going to be for Waterloo to continue to defend. On White Stairs is a bit of an altercation. Nothing just yet, but it is close quarters. Dropping the hatch, unfortunately, getting taken down. 2v3 now as Concordia actually. Everything's going to be evened out to 2v2, 20 seconds.
And they still don't really have an confirmation on where Slate is, and the consequences of intel gap proving too much. A Slate, and how ironic, wipe out what remains of Concordia, and that is not the precedent that you want to set this early on into the first half. We saw some great intel coming in from the first half. Where was it here? Where were the drones? The intel just wasn't there. Body checking everything. Do exactly what you did in the first half and what Waterloo did on their attack, and you have gold. But it wasn't really there, especially towards the execution. I suspect this is going to be a growing pain for them, and it's definitely going to be a problem on first floor, where having that information is vital. And what did I tell you, B? What did I tell you? I said we were gonna see the Solus, and there it is. Gugger, the flex, running Solus. And I'm, again, willing to bet you it's gonna stir trouble.
We'll see. Gug is honestly, it is the operator that he does pick from time to time. I will not lie. I think that considering the bans, I feel like a Solus isn't going to be the biggest of their worries. I think that the Azami ban and the Mira ban, I think the Mira ban could have been something better. But I think that is something like a Solus is going to be the least of their troubles. Concordia got to start figuring out kind of, they're not playing bad. They just kind of have to, I think, it comes down to being able to kind of section out their time. Then again, this is only their first offensive round. Their defense was not horrible and actually was great. It seemed like Waterloo needed to figure out what they were going to do in terms of time. But as for Concordia, don't fall into the same mistakes as your opponents. You know, don't lose track of time. And as I say that, well, Gurv is going to find Honey Pack. I think that the biggest problem is also refrags. Gurv, heavy on the opening picks. Heavy. It's heavier than heavy. He's heavy on these early round picks, these spawn picks. You got to be careful because, you know, you got to be able to get your refrags. You got to be able to get picked and then still be able to punish the defender for it after. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. But with Black pushing onto Mr. Gurv, he might be put in a bad situation if he's not careful. He's just basically crawling around in this freezer. Is going to be able to find one.
What?
Oh my God, he finds another. 4v2. Finally, we'll get finished off and crash out. Frios will find 2 kills at the very least. Close. The round is a little bit closer, but I mean, oh my gosh, don't put Gurv in a corner. He's still going to end up taking you out with him. So still, Waterloo with the advantage. A minute 30.
I cannot believe what I just saw. Great tag team from Waterloo, but I mean, we gotta talk about that crossfire. That was just not there. Slow crouching over the desk while your teammate is getting slammed is not what you want to see. Very unfortunate, but they do have full top-down control. They've still got a lot of time remaining. A minute. This is still very doable, but they have to play their cards very, very carefully here. There's still a lot of util that they have to go through, and they have scans as well. Nades coming in from Crash Out. There's a lot of options here, especially with Riaz on the A still. This is going to provide them another avenue, but they have to pick apart at least one player as the time slowly trickles down.
And I feel like every single time we see Kitchen, it just seems like the round goes to the absolute wire every time that we've seen it. So this will definitely be interesting having this freezer wall opened up. We'll see now with 20 seconds. The boys on Concordia don't really have a lot of time to check their corners and drone out. It's literally just gonna have to be, you're gonna have to get in there and hope for the best. Crash Out, taking down one. Are they aware that Monty is gonna be taking this corner? I feel like they should be aware. Frios to get one, and well, unfortunately, it doesn't matter. The boys on Waterloo able to secure that win again. Another close round where it comes down to the wire. Seems like Kitchen is just, is this gonna be the site that will bring you the full way? Regardless, Waterloo need one more round to secure match point. And as for right now, they have not lost a single defense.
Oh yeah, they've been playing it so well. Again, with these changes, you got Gug on the Cav, little toxic there, I'll say. And then you've also got Gerv on the Scoopos, which I really like that because it provides you so much flexibility. It provides you a getaway, and when you are dealing with missed droning, this just provides you free picks, and you have an instant out. No refrag, nothing. You can just get out right then and there. This is scary territory, and Waterloo knows that Concordia has an intel gap, and they are abusing it already. 1 drones down? What's it gonna be there? But, I mean, regardless, this is still a considerable setback from Concordia. The intel game is just not there, as we clearly saw with the complete misdroning of VOD, which turned to be devastating as they needed to take that one to get the fuser down, but it just didn't happen. And look at that, Gerv already getting aggressive, already sustained a bit of damage, and there's the run out. Really gutsy, considering how they're starting to swarm around them. That playing a risky game there, but does still have that escape.
Not care. Gerv does not care. If this man cared about the risky game, he would not be going out to Spawn Peak every single round, putting his life at risk and still coming out 9 times out of 10. I mean, I think I've seen him get punished for it once. Out of the whole times that he's been spawn picking. So, I mean, you got to give it to Gerv for having the balls to do this and still coming out damn near unscathed.
Ooh.
And not only is he going to come out unscathed, but so is Gug as he takes down Frios, and he might just take out another if he's lucky. Slate will be taken down, and boom! Gug! Another one coming out unscathed. 2 picks under his belt. Not a single HP damage, or not a single point of HP taken down from him. He is just absolutely getting these picks and not getting punished for it at all. Will be tagged a little bit now. We'll see if he's able to get another one, or if he will finally end his reign of tyranny.
This is so dangerous. Now that diffuser is down and there's no one to pick it up, they have locked down Garage, and they're going to be holding this aggressively because who cares about site right now? They have diffuser, and right now Concordia has nobody even close to take it back. Sure, they can play close to site. They can even take site. Who cares? They now have to fight an unprecedented front to grab diffuser. This is where things get really, really testy. You're gonna have to get some tight-knit info, and you've also got echo cams as well that can surveil the area. This is not how you want to attack. Attacking for diffuser. You still have sight to get to, but now you have this problem going on, and free job going down. That's a triple kill. Gugger not down out yet, looking for another, but that's gonna be Mod to take that pick onto Black, and it's just gonna be Crash Out who gets wiped out. About how ironic. This is why you want to keep an eye on diffuser.
Yeah. But that just secures Waterloo their match point. That round couldn't have gone any better. I mean, Gug absolutely holding this team up together, the glue of it all, being unpunished for kill after kill after kill after kill. And now he's on the Clash. What a great night it is for him and his team. absolutely incredible. You got to get the refrags. I know that when Gug initially got that first pick, there was somebody else that was with that player, but I mean, if you're not going to be double swinging or something, I don't know what to tell you. Because Gug's able to win his ones no matter what, let me tell you that. So,
Clearly,
it's
with a
unfortunate,
14-7.
but yeah, it's unfortunate, but there you go. He's not going to be losing those anytime soon, so you better be careful, you better be double swinging, or you better be trying to pinch him. Otherwise, he's coming out, and he's going to be coming out damn near unscathed. So, could be one more
Absolutely.
round, and then that's it. It's closed out. It's finalized. We'll see if Concordia are going to give Waterloo a run for their money. They need 3 flawless rounds just to sniff OT.
Yeah, that's kind of the tough thing. You're on a defender-sided map. You're 3 rounds down. This is a very desperate situation. Not to mention they've went back to second floor, which did not prove very well for Concordia. That makes things pretty iffy, right? I mean, Crash Out already taking some spawn peeking damage. Gugger, despite being Clash, wants in on the action. But I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? The way that Waterloo goes about their roaming and takes these crucial picks is so devastating to Concordia. And the intel's just not there to be able to clear them out. We'll see some initial droning. We'll see some, maybe a little bit towards the end, but it just often either is misdroned or they just aren't droning enough. The drone economy and the efficiency is just not quite there. They do spot the clash. That's Gugger all pretty much alone as of right now. So they could try to isolate this, but they're gonna need to take Whitehall. Cavalier has arrived. They do have backup towards Whitehall. This could be a scary pushback, and there it is. Slate taking Crash Out from just a nice little angle. Good coordination. Wow, what a shot! Oh my gosh, a double kill from Gugger. You can't put this player down. Curve taking another. That's Honey Pack down. And this is a clean shutdown. Oh, but Gugger doesn't finish that one. And Frios takes another. That's Gugger and Slate both down. Bring it to a 1v3. This is still potentially doable if he can catch yet another. But again, this is where the intel gap comes in. And Mod picking it up to finish the job from below. And that is a devastating clear sign of victory for Waterloo.
Boys at Waterloo, a great second map. A great first one as well. As the boys on Concordia, a valiant effort. Unfortunately, it will not be enough to stop the aggression of Waterloo. Waterloo, just a team that thrives off of these early encounters and these close quarters when you're able to be in a 1v1 situation, because a lot of the time they just have the confidence to swing. Even if they're not nearly as good, they have the confidence, and sometimes that confidence will just sweep you off your feet. It will catch you off guard and you will just end up losing.
Well, and the thing is that pretty much everyone on the side of Waterloo just has this unparalleled ability to play what I would refer to as the hero or an opportunist. They see so many opportunities coming from Concordia, whether it's intel gaps, whether it's positional gaps, and they know they can take the risk because the attack wasn't just tight knit enough to punish them. So they full sent it, like we saw with Spawn Peaks, like we saw with the very aggressive Clash play over in Piano. This is what Waterloo does extremely well, and they took advantage of those gaps. Unfortunately for Concordia, even though they had some moments of hope on the second half, the thing is just there's just really not the intel and the positioning wasn't quite there. And some of the calls that were made just weren't quite right. And Waterloo saw that and they abused it to the fullest extent. I will say though, I didn't see the Solace as much as I expected. So I will give you that. I will give you that. But I mean, regardless, I still think there was a fundamental element of not reading the room in certain key situations. So I still think there's hope for Concordia. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. But regardless, it's pretty clear who has reigned the champion for tonight. And that, without a doubt, is Waterloo.
Great job to Waterloo and a great effort to the boys on Concordia. But it seems like seems like that was how it was meant to be. Waterloo picking up not just their first game, but the second game as well. No map 3 needed. I believe both of them were 7-3 wins. So great job to the boys on Waterloo and Concordia. I mean, I think that they played great, but I just think overall, in terms of winning your ones and just overall like technical aim and whatnot, I think that Waterloo do kind of reign superior. Not reign superior, but they do have the edge over the boys on Concordia when it comes to just overall abilities of a single person. I think each individual player has a slight edge over Concordia, the players on Concordia. But regardless, a great game nonetheless, a great effort to Concordia, and congratulations to Waterloo for winning tonight. We will be seeing you guys next Monday for other games, but that is all from me. And I believe that is all from Piercing. We will be sending you guys out to have a lovely rest of your night. It's a little bit late. So, Piercing, I know you've got work tomorrow morning, and so do I.
Oh yeah.
So, we will be catching you guys next week for the regular Monday CCL stream. Have a great Monday night, guys, and have a good night.
Till next time.
Sleep well.